Become Legend is a tabletop role-playing game that may include elements of violence, substance abuse, mental illness, emotional trauma, and may include other mature content or themes. Viewer discretion is advised.
Or something.
Five.
Do it.
4, 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to tonight's match of Become Legend, an Ultramodern 5 actual play here on the Freeforge. Thank you so much for joining us as we dive into our second to last episode. And without further ado, in the last match of Become Legend, the champions set in final plans to infiltrate Singe's workshop in Zaun and retrieve what they could to help aid them in the fight to come. As the group began to depart Heimer's workshop, time seemed to stop as Reggie was whisked away to parts he thought to be unknown. Hearing the echoing loud clang of metal on metal and the temperature drop suddenly, Reggie peered about to find himself atop a gigantic mountain. Lights far below the summit gave indication of civilization around the mountain, and hearing the continued ringing sound turned to see the entrance of a cave in the rock. Reggie entered the cave to find a gigantic smithing area with a familiar figure forging something on a giant anvil. As sparks flew and the sound reverberated against the walls, blurring the former council member's eyes for a moment, his vision cleared to see Orn standing before him. Much smaller, though still dwarfing him. As Orn whisked Reggie to one of the villages at the base of Mount Targon, they discussed Reggie's birthplace and what truly made him special, reminding Reggie that it is not what power one can obtain during life, but the power inside of them that matters. Bringing him back to the cave at the summit, the smith's area now sized to match the two of them, Orn bestowed a gift to Reggie, a golden pendant housing the symbol of a single flame, before reality snapped back in and Reggie found himself in Heimerdinger's workshop once again, as if time had not moved at all. After some brief conversation about the plan with Heimer, alluding to working on new projects to defend both the sister cities, the group decides to head for the Last Drop, a tavern of some renown in the Undercity and workplace of Silco and reportedly Singed based off of accounts of seeing him previously there by Arch. The champions moved through Zaun, noticing that there appeared to be much less enforcer presence, and that things may have started to go back to normal following the past week's events. After some infiltration by the talented Io, the group managed to find Singe's hidden workshop below the destroyed tavern, and after a few run-ins with some chemical and fire traps, managed to get to a large room that appeared to be locked down upon by the main lab. It is here that they spoke briefly with their quarry, as the mad scientist lamented to a bigger and brighter future for both Zaun and Piltover. He then showed them a new project as Io's sister Callisto was revealed, veins run red with some new type of toxin. Singe directs Callisto to kill the champions, and then quickly made his exit, stating he has much to do in the time to come. Callisto managed to get a devastating shot off on Arch before Io is able to use her innate abilities to assist her sister in fighting off the toxin. As she recovers, the champions were able to search Singed's lab and retrieve some of the material that they sought. Making their way back through the Undercity towards the hideout, Io and Niche smelled smoke on the air, and the group rushed back to the Firelight encampment to find the large tree underground ablaze and bodies scattering the area. It is here where our next match begins, in the dark Undercity of Zon, in the Firelight encampment, the tree ablaze and bodies strewn about the interior. Champions, what would you like to do?
Niche extends a hand towards the tree on fire and just raising her voice, making it project as far and as loud as she can. Who did this?
You hear nothing but the crackling flames, the occasional groan as injured or near-death individuals try to move about the space to search for loved ones or any type of succor to the tragedy that has befallen the camp.
Without any worry about danger that might still linger, Niche just kind of rushes forward into the camp, drawing closer to the tree, drawing herself further into this chaos, and is trying to put together what happened here.
Okay.
Is it just the tree that's on fire, or is everything on fire?
Right now, it appears as if just the tree is on fire, but as it is the immense figurehead of this area, you can see sparks are starting to leap off, and the tree itself fully inflamed there's definitely a real dangerous possibility of it spreading to some of the buildings around. You can already see parts of the mural that you and Arch had shared a conversation with that is nearby the tree starting to get covered in ash and sparks landing on it, threatening to set it on fire. Are the rest of you following Niche?
Seeing the mural kind of like being impacted, especially since it has Sosin, I think Arch would kind of run in that direction and fire brigade, if there's a fire brigade, we need to get this out. And it's just kind of like running over, looking for a bucket, looking for a water source, anything.
Reggie, Io, are you doing the same?
I was following close behind Niche.
Okay.
Reggie's kind of maybe a little bit dazed, just kind of staring at the tree, maybe a little bit overwhelmed. And as they kind of take it in, they kind of get a glimpse of the mural, and is drawn specifically to the image of Sosin. And just for a moment, Reggie has this flashback to the bridge, with the fire everywhere, Sosin off in the distance, bodies strewn about. And you'll hear Reggie call out, "I said no! This is not what's supposed to happen!" And the pendant is gonna kind of raise up off of Reggie's, like it was leaning against his chest, raise up, go forward until the chain is kind of tight around Reggie's neck, and it's going to thrust forward, and Reggie's going to be forced along with it towards the tree.
As you start to get closer to the tree, you feel the chain, the metal heat up against your neck, and a slight glow start to pilfer from the pendant at the end of the chain. I need you to make a religion check for me as you begin advancing forward at the behest of this pendant, please.
25.
Okay. Continue.
It's gonna take Reggie right up close to the tree. And I don't know if anybody's paying attention because there's a lot going on, but the air kind of starts swirling around the pendant, almost kind of looking like a vortex of sorts. And you'll see the flames on the tree and around the tree sort of kind of move in towards the pendant, like they're kind of getting sucked in. And Reggie's just kind of not sure what's going on, but like stuck just as the pendant starts sucking in the fire.
As this begins to happen, the wisps of flame kind of jumping off of the branches and absorbing into the pendant. I'm going to get you to make me a straight vigor check, please.
Yeah.
Imagine Arch kind of running by with the bucket and then seeing this and just like stops and just staring.
I'm gonna use 7 summoner spells to make that a 20.
So what does it look like as virtually all of the fire gets absorbed by this pendant?
The fire just like disappears as it hits the vortex, and once all the fire kind of goes into it, the pendant is glowing, and it continues to glow for like another 5 to 10 seconds after it's done, and the glow will slowly start to fade, and it'll fall back down against my chest.
You notice as the pendant falls down and hits your chest, it no longer feels hot. Cool to the touch, as metal usually does. All of that heat just seems to dissipate, and the rest of you, as you're rushing out to look for some form of being able to help with this, witness the entire fire blazing around this tree rush towards Reginald and absorb into this vortex until it is quiet. The tree destroyed, a blackened husk of its former natural beauty, and a kind of silence takes over the area.
Reggie will just kind of grab onto the pendant, squeeze it a little. Still a little confused. And then look around, probably for Niche, to see how they can help.
Niche is kind of hunched over a figure who is, I think, covered in burns. And what are the nature of the wounds that these people have suffered?
Roll me a medicine check, please.
Yeah. That is a 21.
21. You can see that a lot of the wounds appear to be internal, like smoke inhalation, but as you're kind of sorting through, checking on some of these unfortunately far deceased bodies, you do notice tinges of chemical scarring on some of them. Patchworked, red and black veins protruding out more than they should.
So when Niche gets to the first person and starts to pull together kind of what happened and what she can do to immediately start. She kind of points a hand out towards Io very rudely, kind of having felt their presence behind her. Go, turn anyone you can, anyone who's still breathing or trying to breathe, put them on their side. It will help. Just
Absolutely. Absolutely.
all right. And then Niche kind of points at Arch when she sees him kind of bring the bucket near. And Niche isn't really registering what the other people are doing, and she just kind of speaks out into the void. Arch, have Io show Arch what to do for these people. And then meanwhile, Niche is drawing energy from the area around her. And where it might have been red energy that she drew in the past, this time we see wisps of black pulling off of the dead, people who are long gone, and it is drawing into her. And she is, as quickly as they can, moving through those who still have that spark of life left inside of them, and taking that black and then drawing it into their body, and then just like putting a hand on these people's chests, counting for just a moment, putting what she can into them. There's almost this warm white light that pushes out of her and into them, and we'll see them hopefully breathe a little bit easier. She is using one of her medic abilities to just go through and heal as quickly as she can. She can, in theory, get to 9 people doing this.
Okay. As you're doing that, Callisto kind of helping Io is like, oh man, this is way fucking worse than I thought it would be. I've got some, so I'm just gonna go, and she goes off to the opposite side that Niche is on and starts like, she has like a field med kit that she's gonna use to try and not do too much, because that was a natural 2 on the die. But is going to attempt to help people as well. Arch, Reggie, are you doing anything specific?
I'm just gonna run. As I run past Reggie, Arch will just like, as it through passing, like, that was amazing, and then like run over to Io and like, I normally put people on the ground. Tell me what to do, and then just get instruction on how to help.
Reggie doesn't really know what to do. Still a little confused and overwhelmed by everything. Just maybe kind of awkwardly standing behind Niche. I don't even know if Niche knows that he's there. Just kind of almost panicking. Just kind of watching.
Niche pops up, having dealt with the person in front of her, and when she stands, they kind of turn, and I think will kind of barrel in to Reggie before kind of stumbling back. Oh, Reginald, you can wait. There, she sniffs the air. What happened to the smoke? The fire. It's gone.
I seem to have handled the fire.
You did that.
Yes, I did. I have the ability to do that.
Reggie, that is, and she'll reach forward and actually put a hand on the side of his face, and it's the softest her gray eyes have ever looked. That tree is more ancient and beautiful and lovely than anything I have ever seen. Here or back in Ionia. You've done something incredible. It is a bit worse for wear, but I fear how it would be if you had not done that.
We're just all doing our part. You're helping so many people, and I don't understand I don't understand your methods. I'm not going to lie to you, but if there's any way, I've seen you move energy. Can you move energy from me?
I take from the dead and the dying. I borrow their ends to extend other people's futures. If you could get people on their sides, pull up their knees to their chest, it will help them breathe and expel anything from their lungs. If there's anything stuck in there from whatever this poison was that got to them, that will help them, and then I will get to the ones who I can. But Reggie, thank you.
You're welcome. And Reggie will turn around and turn a couple people on their side, but then kind of looking around for Heimer. Is Heimer around?
You know that based off your previous visits, he spent most of his time in his workshop. Though it doesn't look like there's a lot of damage that has been done to the outlying areas, and you're not sure. None of you have gone into any of the workshops or the mess halls or workrooms or anything like that to see the extent of the damage yet.
Okay. Then just kind of looking around, seeing that Arch and Io are helping kind of tend to some people. Reggie will turn a few more people on their side on the way towards Heimer's workshop. Gotta check in, make sure he's okay.
Okay, so as you make your way over to that area, you open the door that leads into the hallway that went up to the steps that brought you further up in. And as you open the door, a blast of green reddish smoke comes out to follow you, or to like slam into you. I'm going to need you to make a Constitution saving throw for me, please. Or did you still have your mask on from... Would Reggie have taken his mask off on the way back? Being in the... I'll leave it up to you.
Reggie would still be under the effects of that increased heavy heartbeat, which gives advantage on Constitution saving throws that Niche cast before entering Singe's lair.
So you can make that con save with advantage. It would have just been with advantage if you had the mask on anyway, so the point is kind of moot at that.
Fair. Reggie definitely would not have had the mask on, so thank you for that reminder and that advantage, because that makes it a 21.
Nice.
Okay. So you are going to take 4 points of poison damage, reduced to 2, but you are not poisoned for the next 24 hours. So...
Would we notice or be within range of Reggie encountering this?
I would say you would be too preoccupied with trying to heal people. Io, you can roll a perception check for me if you want.
Okay.
Your passive perception's high enough, and knowing you're probably already bored with turning people on their sides, and...
That is a 19?
19? Yeah, you probably, off, like, half-heartedly, like, trying to help somebody and kind of looking around, watching your sister, would see Reggie rush for the entrance to where Heimerdinger's shop was and opening the door, and this puff of acrid gas come flying out.
Everyone get your masks. Does everyone have their masks on?
I do now.
Crud. I was hoping this would be over, but of course it is not. And Niche will wrap up with the person that she's currently with and surveys the area. She is drenched in sweat and looks exhausted from the effort of this. But she'll kind of put her mask on and head over to where Io is.
Okay. Reggie, as you kind of go down the hall and up the stairs and around, you come down the hall that had a couple like little dorm rooms on either side of the hall, and the workshop was at the end of the hall. And as you approach the end of the hall, there's no doorway there.
Heimer? And Reggie will kind of cautiously move forward. Heimer! Okay, you know I don't like this. You tell me you're okay right now.
As you kind of get within like 5 feet of the end of the hall that shows a dead end, you hear like some mechanical whirring start to take place on the other side, and then just a single slot opens up, not at your eye level, but only about 2 feet off of the ground, and you see the large luminous eyes of Heimerdinger poking out through the slot. Reginald, is that you?
You are okay?
Oh, my boy. Thank goodness you're here. And the slot closes and you hear some more mechanical whirrings, and like a plate lifts up, revealing the door that was now hidden, and it opens and you see Heimer standing there with just kind of pulling a mask off. Oh, my boy. I thought I would never see you again. I wasn't sure if we were still under attack or what happened. Glad I installed this trusty failsafe that hid the door. Tell me, did you stop whoever did this? I'm pretty sure I can guess as to who it was, but...
Well, no. There was nobody. The tree was on fire and people are hurt, but there was nobody nefarious.
I'll be right back. And Heimer disappears into the workshop and comes back with an armful of vials and just starts rushing past you. And as he kind of comes rushing out of the room, you see a little Poro, his little Poro, come out and follow. And he without stopping, just goes right past you down towards. The rest of you would notice after a few minutes of Reggie being gone, Heimer come rushing out of the room and, Niche, quickly, come! And as he approaches you, here, take some of these, you know how to administer them, and starts running around, and they appear to be injectors of some sort filled with a, like, clear liquid with a green tinge to it. And finding any alive people he can, he starts administering these shots to people.
Niche will squirt a small amount of one into her mouth, just to get a quick understanding of exactly what it does, but she's running behind Heimerdinger. Oh, thank God you have something for this. I've done what I can, but this poison is nasty.
So over the course of the next probably half hour or so, all of you do your best to assist Heimerdinger and Niche in healing those that you can. Arch, at some point, you and Callisto likely begin helping with some of the move of the ones that unfortunately didn't make it to the base of the tree to show respect and things like that. And it's probably late evening dusk by the time you're all kind of sitting around a table, having done what you can with Heimerdinger, probably back in his workshop at the same table. Oh, thank you, each of you. Truly, it was. I don't know how to describe it. I was working and I heard screaming, and I was told very specifically by Echo that if I was ever in any sort of danger to hide myself away as our work was very important and couldn't fall into the wrong hands. I'm just thankful that my ploy worked. But all this loss.
What happened here?
I don't know. We'll have to. From what I gather from some of the people we were helping, a individual, tall and hooded and cloaked in some type of darkness, came in and started throwing vials everywhere, and some of them lit portions of the area on fire, and some of them emitted gases that burned and unfortunately destroyed anything or anyone that breathed them in. And you
cinched.
Yeah, you all probably would have garnered the same information from people that you would have been asking when you were helping them and healing them. It's very, very unfortunate. And Echo, did any of you see Echo? I didn't see him out there. Is he not
I was doing a scout.
returned yet? He should have been back probably around the same time as you. Oh dear.
Where was he scouting?
Well, as discussed, he was going to Piltover to see what had happened with any of the remaining council members and why the presence of this Jericho Swain had suddenly become so predominant. There were reports as well as red-sailed ships approaching far to the west. Oh no.
Found something at Singe's workshop that might help with that.
Oh, you were able to find it. I'd grown worried. Yes. Let us look at. And it's about this point where there's a knock on the door, and Heimer. Yes, come in. And a young female enters the room. Kind of exotic in her appearance, olive skin, smaller oval eyes, a little bit of her hair wild and more than likely probably at least half Vestayan. She kind of enters and I'm sorry to trouble you, Heimerdinger, and the rest of you. I unfortunately have bad news. And Heimer's Sisha, yes, come. You were part of that group that went with Echo earlier. I'm the only part of that group left. Oh no. My sweet girl, come, sit. And she comes and sits among you, and eyes red and tearing up. They got him and the rest of them. We were trying to be careful, to be quiet, to be sneaky, but unfortunately we got discovered when we got too close to the capital, to the council hall. They caught Echo, and I was able to get a little bit of information before I left, but they're going to execute him. They're going to execute all of them.
Who is all of them?
Caitlin, Vi, Jinx, Echo, everybody that would oppose who they're calling the new ruler of Zon and Piltover. This Swain individual, he's smarter and more powerful than any man I've ever seen. He literally raised his hand and captured half of us without blinking an eye. He said that Zon and Piltover are going to be ran by the Red Army. They're on their way. This is the first step. I can't. And she breaks down and, like, into Heimer's shoulder is uncontrollably sobbing. Heimer kind of patting her on the head. Oh, my dear. Go find your family. I know that your brother made it through the attack and can console you probably better. We apparently have a lot more to discuss on a lot shorter time frame than I had imagined. But thank you. I know this must have been difficult for you. She kind of, like, wiping snot off of her nose, kind of looks up and looks at the rest of you, and you gotta help. Please.
Their first step is also going to be their last. Piltover and Zahn will not become another Wuju.
Everyone is guilty of the good they did not do. It's time for us to do some good. I know whether I live or die probably doesn't really matter that much, but Echo, Vi, Caitlin, they can make impacts that will never be able to make. We're gonna do this.
She kind of nods and stands up. I heard something about the bridge tomorrow. When the sun is tallest in the sky is when they were going to do it. Displayed in front of everybody from both Upper and Lower City. It's a testament to what's to come. I'm gonna go find my brother and get out of here while we still can. I wish you the best of luck, but we are no warriors. And she kind of nods to all of you and then jets out of the room, leaving you alone.
Niche takes the miniature warhead out of her bundle of stuff that they gathered from Hibernier's office and plinks it down on the table. I do not know what the blast radius is on this yet, but I would like to find out on all of the ships sailing red sails. This could put a dent in what they have coming.
Yes, this is one of the prototypes that I had worked on with Singed that I don't think he could ever, and he kind of holds his hands out as if indicating that he would like to see it. Do you hand it to him? Right. Well, looks like we have until tomorrow afternoon to decide what kind of people we want to be. I'm going to get to work and see if I can't figure out a way to help you a little bit more. Should you still... I can't ask any of you to put your lives on the line for any of this, but you must make your own decisions. Callisto, who's kind of been quiet and is, like, leaning against a bench, not sitting down. Oh, Heimer, you know I got myself wrapped up in this by accident, but I think it's time for me to right some of my wrongs. If I've been following the wrong people this whole fucking time. I think I gotta help.
I've often wondered why I've been left behind when others who have deserved to be here have been taken. I think maybe this is that reason. If I can contribute something, I'm going to do it. I'm in. You don't have to ask. The choice has already been made.
This sound like fun to you?
Callisto, this is a death wish.
Probably should have died a few times already. The fact that I got to see you one more time, all grown up to boot. At least I know that if I don't make it, you're gonna be okay on your own.
I trust your judgment. If you're going, I'm going.
Guess I can't convince you not to, hey? Those days are over.
Not
All
at
right.
all.
Show me where we're sleeping. We're gonna need to get all the rest we can if we're gonna make this happen.
I second that.
Archibald, before you go to get your rest, I have something that I think might help you. Come, my boy. I've been working on this a little bit. I think you might like it.
Oh, okay. And just like reluctantly fall, like looking at Reggie, like this guy.
So he kind of goes up his little stair ladder onto his workbench, and kind of you see some junk getting thrown behind him, and yes, here they are. And pulls up and turns around and holds his arms out, and in his hands are two much too large for his tiny hands, but they appear to be a set of dusters of brass knuckles. I've managed to use a little bit of the hex tech that I have had in my possession, and a little bit of the knowledge I've gleaned from it to make something I think will be a little bit more suitable than just hitting somebody with metal.
That usually works pretty good, but you said this has hex tech in it?
So as you take them, you notice that they look worn and well used, kind of like right up your style for these brass knuckles. And as you kind of give a closer inspection of them, you can see that there are cracks, fissures that seem to run all around and in between them. But unlike it's not bare metal. It appears to be more like there's light passing around and through them. And as soon as you put them on to try and test them out, you notice they're extremely light, but feel very hardy, and you kind of do your usual kind of clink and bash, and you notice when you hit them together, unlike your other brass knuckles, little sparks, blue-white sparks fly off of them.
That's a trick.
They store a decent amount of energy. They'll put a little more jump in your punches, and you can also flip up the side, and kind of grabs your hand and flips up the side, and you notice a little recess. There's a little button. If you push this right before you punch somebody, there's a good chance that the electrical shock will stun them for a short duration. Might help you. Please note that they are limited. They need to be charged and re-imbued with the magic every once in a while after they've been used thoroughly. But hopefully this will help you.
You see on Arch at first, like there's this like kind of like, oh, these are cool. And like a moment as though his mind goes almost back in time. He has this recollection of something. And almost for a split second, there's this sadness that washes over his face. And then he blinks back and is like, thank you. Normally I wouldn't be able to. I'd be so excited to use something like this, but for the first time in my life, I kind of wish I didn't have to. But it is what it is. Thank you.
That is why I believe all of you are the right people for the job.
And he'll lean down and just like hug Heimer.
Yes, my boy. That's very, very good, very good. That's probably why all of you are best suited for this. The reluctance to head into battle is often because you're the ones that need to.
Well, we'll do what we can.
Only known some of you a short time, some longer than others, but if any of you are like Reginald or Callisto, there is definitely greatness inside of you. I believe that.
I only aspire to be like Reggie. He's shown me something I never seen before, and you know, he's got a little spark to him, but
Archibald, don't talk like that. There's no way Sosin would have chosen you for his partner if he didn't see something great inside of you as well.
So you just kind of like eyes get a little.
And it's as Heimer says that the amulet around your neck pulses with that deep blue light.
He just kind of grabs it and sits there for a second. My whisper. And he'll go and like go back down to sit down.
Well, I guess that settles it. Unless, Reginald, you think this might not be a good idea. I'm not sure what other choice we have, but...
I don't know what other choice we have either. It seems like the only option.
Well, you better get some rest then. Big day tomorrow? Is that how it... Yeah, it's... I'm at a loss. I'm going to keep working for a little bit. Try and
Let's
crack
maybe
open...
a second set of hands.
You'll need to get some rest, Niche, yes, but for a while, 2 minds are better than 1.
And
Would
set an
honestly be a
alarm.
privilege.
And set an alarm if you got one. We don't want to oversleep for tomorrow.
Yes.
Don't believe that will be a problem.
You're probably right.
Good. Be very interesting if you did. I won't lie. Well, enjoy the rest. Niche, come, join me. And kind of turns back towards the warhead that's now on the table. Leaving the rest of you to your devices. Is there anything anybody is doing right away?
Arch will stand up from the table and just look around. I need a moment alone. I will catch up with you guys later, and he'll turn and kind of walk out for a moment.
Reginald Io?
Reggie's just kind of still mildly flabbergasted at what the pendant did, so just kind of mesmerized by it and kind of inspecting it, just kind of off in their own little world.
Io peeks over Reginald's shoulder while they're looking at the pendant. Was that what did it?
It is. It wasn't me at all.
Well, it was you. But she reaches over to grab it lightly, not to take it, but just to look at it, and says, "Thank you. It was very helpful."
I'm just glad I can still find a way to help. In my old age, there's the amount I can help seems to go down and down and down.
You are a very powerful person. You know that.
Sometimes I feel little bits of power burst out of me, mostly when I get angry. But sometimes it feels like that's the only power I have.
You are very strong.
Reggie's just gonna grab Io's hand and give it a squeeze. Thank you. I think I needed to hear that just now.
All right, you two. He's clearly way too old for you anyway, and we gotta let the two of these work. So, Io, where do we hit the hay?
Oh, yes. And I will guide Callisto down over.
He's also taken. You hear Niche call out from the workbench.
That too.
What?
Really? And Callisto kind of comes over and puts her arm around you, Reggie, and kind of leads you out of the workshop. So, tell me about your squeeze. I'm interested.
I Reggie's is gonna blush. I honestly, I don't know what Niche is talking about.
Ah, come on, don't be so bashful at your age. Who cares, right?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like maybe there might be some sparks somewhere with a certain someone, but nothing has been confirmed.
As you two kind of head out, the door closing behind, leaving Niche and Heimerdinger alone, Callisto still ribbing you a little bit as you walk down towards your area where you had been sleeping before, leaving Niche and Heimerdinger alone. Well, let's get started. And the two of you begin working, tinkering on this. I'll get you to make an engineering check for me.
You know what? Now seems like a good time. Niche seems very much in the zone. Heimer is someone who they've always been a little bit skeptical of his work just because there's so much hype, there's so much weight that his name carries. But seeing him work and being in this makeshift workshop is so impressive. I'm going to use one of her special abilities to get a natural 20 on this, which will bring this up to a 29.
Perfect. You two work for the next several hours, and seem to have some success, though that will remain to be seen before you head off to bed. Arch, where are you going by yourself?
So Arch will kind of, holding these gauntlets in his hand as he walks towards the bench that he and Reggie once shared, in front of the mural. And he looks around and seeing that, just to be sure that there isn't someone necessarily in earshot of him. As he kind of takes this seat, he holds the brass knuckles in like one hand and reaches into his, so one side is a pistol holster, the other side is just like what looks like a pouch holster, and he pulls out the other set of brass knuckles, the worn, beat up, just chunks of metal he had before, and he kind of like clanks them together and then sets them against his chest as he kind of drops his head, just thinking there in a moment of silence. And as it kind of clangs against he kind of like lifts him up and then lets him back against his chest, and he hears the clang of the pendant that he has, the half moon pendant. He looks down and, remembering that he seemed to have a better control of that connection with him and Sosin, he calls out and looks up towards the mural, seeing the remnants of what was left of Sosin. My whisper, are you there?
As you kind of sit there focused on this mural, you don't even notice, but hear to the left of you a voice answer back. My island. What is it that you need? And kind of looking to your left, you see Sosin, not corporeal. Kind of think like Obi-Wan when they visited Luke in Star Wars after they had died, like that spectral bluish form, kind of sitting on the bench next to you. As always, legs directly in front of them, closed, hands folded, their posture perfect, as it always was. Kind of regarding you with a side-eye warm smile, though staring directly at the mural, just like you are.
Just seeing from the peripherals, continuing to look up at the mural, just Arch says, Even in the afterlife, you remain perfect, my love. I have a few things I want to say, and I don't even know the words, but I'll start with the least important. These knuckles, and he picks up the old set. These were yours. And these new ones that Heimer just gave me are probably going to be more beneficial, but... And he clinks them together, and he's like, it feels weird not to use these anymore.
Archibald, we cannot control what happens to us in this life. All we can do is control our own actions. That includes learning when to let go of things when something better comes along.
Something better comes along. You know, you once told me that I can only win when my mind becomes stronger than my emotions, and lately I feel like my emotions are rushing so many different directions. Of course, anger, but a longing for something new, and that scares me because I don't want to let go of the past.
Just because we let go of the past does not mean that we forget it. We do ourselves a dissatisfaction to those we honor by clinging on to things long gone. Sometimes, in order to move forward, you have to let go.
Miss you so much.
You cannot miss what has never left you, my island. Even after you move on, I will always be there. Holding yourself back does nothing but pain me more than not being with you.
Well, no matter what happens next, no matter what direction I go, just know that I'm coming to you when this is all over. When my spark has been put out.
And I, as always, will be waiting.
And then he'll just kind of weep a little bit in his hands.
As you take that moment when you look back up and kind of look over your periphery, the spectral blue form of Sosin is gone.
Throw the old knuckles back in the pocket. Need some sleep. And then just get up and head back to the bunks.
Is there anything else anybody is doing before finding rest for the night?
Io is going to stay up just a bit, shuffling their cards and thinking. Finally drawing a card and staring at it. And it's the eye. And it's her favorite card. But it scares her.
As you're kind of doing this, you feel this like tap on the back of your head and kind of look over to see your sister stretched out on her side, lying on the bunk bed above you, her tail flopped down to kind of tap you. I haven't seen those before. Fuck are they?
Oh, Oracle cards. Picked them up while you were gone.
Oracle, like actual honest to goodness, like crazy Aunt Jenny used to tell us oracle cards.
Exactly that.
Magic and everything.
There's a little bit of magic in it.
I always knew you were a fucking weirdo. Look, speaking of which, tomorrow, if you're actually going to do this, we got to talk about something. You've never been good in a fight. Actually, pretty damn useless most of the time.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Maybe, like, I've seen you do some cool stuff now that we're reunited and everything like that, but, I want you to know when you kind of seem weaker than when you were younger.
How so?
You really don't remember, do you? There was a reason why I was the only one that would ever play with you, why all the other kids were, for lack of a better word, scared of you. Whenever you got really angry, I know you've always had a way with words, but they could hurt sometimes. There's, instances...
Well, yes, words do hurt.
No, but, like, I mean actually hurt. There was the one time you put, that little rat kid, I can't remember his name, you put him in a coma for, like, 2 days after you, yelled at him when he took that little, remember that little doll that, Mom made you before she passed?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember what you said, I can't remember what you did, but that was scary. I haven't seen you do anything like that, but I gotta tell you, and she kind of swings her legs over the bed and hops down to sit beside you. If tomorrow goes the way I think it's gonna go, you're gonna have to find a way to tap into that. Just like you said, you can't lose me again, and you kind of feel the tail wrap around your shoulder and bring you in closer. She kind of leans her head on your head. I can't lose you either.
We'll figure it out then. See what I can do.
Promise me you make it through this.
I promise I will help in any way that I can.
I know you will. She kind of lies down on the bottom bunk now with her head in your lap. Get some sleep, okay? And kind of starts to doze off, lying there with her head in your lap. Is there anything else you're doing right away?
She will just braid her sister's hair like she did when she was little. And stare at the eye and drift off to sleep.
And Niche, was there anything you were doing before finding sleep?
Heimer has to shoo them out of the studio. Niche eventually leaves under some protest, and then she makes her way to the base of the tree. And so the fire was put out, but it's still in pretty bad condition.
Charred and black from trunk to branch.
Niche will, instead of going to sleep where they have for the last couple of nights, she'll instead sit herself down at the base of the tree, and then they'll pull from their fanny pack a cord of black and white fur that's been braided. And it's large enough to be worn as a necklace, but instead she will twist it around her wrist so that it kind of clings together with some of those copper bracelets that we know are actually multi-tools. And she'll kind of hold that piece of woven fur, something Nemo gave and left behind, and she'll hold that close to her heart and just, I think, fall asleep at the base of this tree.
So as you drift off into sleep thoughts with your now departed friend, thinking about what is to come tomorrow, you open your eyes again, and you are in the same place against the same tree, but the ground is still this vibrant green that it was before. And as you kind of gaze up, looking at the tree, you can see it's restored as it was the last time you saw it before the fire. And as you look up, sitting on one of the branches is the familiar figure of Lamb, who kind of regards you for a moment before letting herself fall backwards and drift down to the ground to stand in front of you. Such life lost, such sadness, but it can be restored.
That would be a huge weight off of my chest, if I'm being perfectly honest. This thing should be regarded as a monument.
We will see what we can do, but Wolf needs you and your friends, as you made your decision to go into the foray once more, but this time not save a life, but take them. And you hear from the canopy of the tree that low, growly laugh of Wolf up above. It is unfortunate, but sometimes to save many lives, you must snuff out one or two.
Or perhaps 4. I'm glad that in this case we are in agreement, because no deal we've made, past or present, could talk me off of this ledge that I am on. I'm killing Singe tomorrow.
Well then, perhaps we can provide a catalyst to push you off fully. Should you defeat the one they call Jericho Swain and his 2 cohorts, Singed and Casker, you will save many lives, and in return, come back to this spot, plant the seeds, and new life will take growth.
Any strings attached? You know what? I don't need to know. It is worth it.
Better. Continue, and perhaps your use will finally have run out and you can be at peace. Fail, and we'll see you much sooner than anticipated.
I will not fail.
There's kind of a flash, and you're kind of taken aback, kind of putting your hand to your eyes, and as you look, the first bits of light that creep through from above are starting to shine through the grates and the sewers far above where the topside is, and morning has found all of you. You can all get a long rest in, and also level up to level 12.
Level 12.
Nisha's first thought, as kind of their eyes flutter open and they see this light kind of peeking through and sparkling and then shining down, is that card that Io pulled for her, the falling star. And Nish kind of clings to that as they go about the early parts of their morning.
Is there anything any of you are doing in preparation for the last, what you hope is the last trial?
Yeah, is there some kind of like, even if it's tattered or whatever, but like some kind of like banner or flag of some sort that's like just lying around, maybe on the ground or something like that?
Make an investigation check for me.
Let's see. Investigation. That's not gonna be good. Oh, 17. Actually, not bad.
Like you've noticed that there is lots of areas down here where there's tons of graffiti and like interesting symbols and everything like that, but you don't particularly find anything. You could probably toss together something if you wanted to.
I think he's just looking for something that he can rip up into like little pieces of cloth. So like, you know, anything that's looks like it's from there that he could cut up.
Okay, sure. Oh, you find you're able to pull some maybe some bedding that was kind of tossed aside, like not in use.
Kind of like sits down and looks around and he's just like, this will do, I guess. And he'll like rip little strips of it and then start wrapping them around from like his hand to about mid arm, just like how Sosin did, with pieces kind of tangling down. And then after he's done, just kind of look at him and is like, this will go with us into battle. A little piece of this place, little revenge.
Anybody else doing anything to prepare before you depart?
Do they have coffee or tea?
You are
Priorities.
definitely able. They still have like most of the mess hall and everything was intact. They you know, there are people that are already beginning to try and put right the damage that was caused and start the rebuild already. So there is like not as nice of things that you had previously when you were here, but there is still food and drink to be found and shared amongst all of you.
Okay. So Reggie would just kind of want to sit with like his with one leg crossed over the other, and maybe it's just like a crude kind of half broken cup, and just kind of holding it and really taking the time to like enjoy the downtime and peace, and just kind of watching, taking in what Arch is doing and the scenery around him, and just taking the time.
So you would notice, much like when Orn took you through the village in Targon, even though there's been much hardship over the last week and a half in this area, especially the last 24 hours, you still see families kind of sitting and having breakfast together, children chasing each other around, even the burned out husk of this giant tree. You still see people working together, small laughs, though the overall tone is quite somber. There is still those vestiges of life and love, realizing that things like this cannot be so easily snuffed out. Anybody else?
Just kind of say to Arch, these people are quite resilient, and I think we need to be resilient too.
Yeah, I agree. It gives me hope seeing that they continue to strive for a future, even in the face of chaos or total destruction. It doesn't stop them. It's kind of inspiring, right?
It is. I can't say I've given a ton of thought to my future, but looking at these people trying to pick up and move on kind of makes me want to do the same.
Arch just kind of like holds the gaze a little bit longer and says, I've kind of been thinking something similar. It's more about letting go of the past and taking some risks by stepping into what could be the future.
Oh,
The past isn't going anywhere. It's always going to be a part of us. And, sometimes maybe it's time to heal like they are, pointing to like the crowd. Look, the only thing I know for certain is that I don't know anything. Not really. But, sometimes you just gotta try something.
That's something I've always appreciated about you. You have this adventurous spirit about you. You don't hesitate, and I feel like I could learn a thing or two from you.
Well, never thought of myself as a teacher. That's for sure. But thank you. And you've given me this hat, and I adore it. I want to give you something too. And he'll reach into his pocket and pull out his dice and take your hand and place them in your hand and like close the fingers over them and say, I think it's time for me to stop letting dice decide what I do, and time for me to make choices on my own. But hold on to these from you, just in case.
I like this decision. I will keep them safe for you, just in case.
But this time, Callisto kind of walks past through between the two of you and is like, all right, you can make out and shit later. It's getting to be about that time. We gotta go. And from behind you, you hear, well, and you all kind of turn to see Heimerdinger, and now what you hadn't noticed is like the host of the rest of the habitants of this area kind of gathered behind Heimerdinger. Unfortunately, I don't think this is a battle that I can fight in, nor would I be much use if I did. Same goes for a lot of these people, but they all wanted to gather and show their support. Just know that we believe in you. And you hear like the murmured cries from children, women, elderly. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, go kick their butts. We got you. We believe in you. And Heimer kind of points towards that garage area that you had been in once before. Well, one last ride, folks? Perhaps?
Oh, not again.
It's gonna be great, Reggie.
Unfortunately, early reports are that the bridge is blocked off on both ends by large enforcer contingents, though it's weird. A lot of their armor appears to be red now instead of blue already. It's interesting. There's a couple of airships floating around as well. The hoverboards will give you the best chance to come out through the sewers and come up underneath the bridge to the center. Just a thought. You are more than capable, and I trust in... And you see Callisto is already, like, headed towards the boards, and... Man, I've seen these things before, but fuck, I've always wanted to try one, and is already, like, grabbing one and starts messing around with it.
Arch grabs Niche by the arm and just says, may I still just a moment?
Of course.
And
What?
pulls them away from the group. And Niche, listen to me. We've been through a lot in such a short period of time. And I saw what you did for me. Well, I didn't see it. I more like felt it when you brought me back from like near death or whatever. And and he kind of places both hands on your shoulders and is like looking at you like desperate in the face. Promise me that if it comes down to it, you choose either one of them over me. If there's more than one, you let me go.
Arch, you are the kind of person who cares about designer brands, and you think blood is gross. And yes, you cannot deal with chairs to save your fucking life, but your heart is good. How can I let you die?
I don't think you will. All I'm saying is if it comes down to it, and there's a choice, you pick any of them over me. Promise me that. And he grabs your hand and like puts his fingers in your hand and just like kisses the back of your hand. Promise me.
I promise. I do.
Thank you. Who wants to surf? And it just like walks away.
You hear like a slight cheer come up from like the crowd that is assembled, feeling invigorated and going to grab your hoverboards. All of you are going to have all of your abilities unlocked.
Oh, all of them?
Yep.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, snap!
As the group is like heading towards the hoverboards and kind of getting situated, Niche will take a few steps towards Io, and they are kind of rummaging through their bag, going to those kind of like trap grenades that we found a day ago, and she's kind of pulling those out of her bag. Io, I don't know if you want these. You could say no, but I think they might be more helpful in your hands.
Are you sure?
I have a feeling that Arch is going to keep my hands full during whatever is to come next.
As do I. And Io will take them. Kindly.
Niche will give Io... Oh.
Do you still have the flower?
Yes, I do.
Is it dry yet?
It's been doing all right. I've been loath to... if I was smart, I would leave it behind on a table, but it's... And Niche kind of puts a hand on her fanny pack where there's now a jar of salt with the flour inside, just as Io instructed. But I'm a bit loath to leave it behind.
Keep it. It'll be a good luck charm.
If you say so, then I believe it.
We can do this.
We will.
We will.
As you kind of assemble, grabbing hoverboards, Callisto already kind of flying around the canopy of the tree, making short work of talent on this craft. I'm not going to make any of you roll to ride them. You've ridden them before successfully. So you were all able to depart. And as you're kind of leaving out through the sewer, you kind of see Heimerdinger and the assembled host kind of dispersing out through a separate sewer entrance. And as you make your way to the bridge where so much tragedy has happened, is there anything anybody is doing? So kind of like cruising along in tandem and dropping back. Callisto kind of raising her voice so that all of you can hear. They usually do like a big speech, and they're like, you have done treason and bad stuff, and that's why we're gonna kill you. And so I think it'd be cool if we like, or maybe like anthemic or something, if we were like to stay low near the bridge on the sides or underneath or something until we hear them start to make this speech, and then we can like zoom out and pop up and be like, fuck you, no, you're not doing that. Or so, I don't know, maybe Io can say something. She's better with words than I am. I'm
You
not.
see Arch
I do
raise his hand.
enjoy the theatrical flair.
Yeah, something like that.
Arch raises his hand and he's like, "What does anthemic mean?"
Are you sure we don't want to just go back to Ionia, Io? Or, no, we're doing this? Yeah, we're doing this. I knew it was just a joke. I was testing you, and you passed.
Yes, I love passing tests. It happens so rarely. Look, you know what is a shame though? Is that we don't
We're
have, like, a
getting
cool-
close to the bridge. Shut up. And Callisto kind of straps on her mask, and begins kind of like breaking the sniper rifle off of her back, kind of making final preparations as all of you approach. First you come out the outside to the river and you kind of look up, down towards the bridge. And true to the word, there is the sky high above is dotted with what seems to be some airships. And there appears to be large crowds gathered on either side of the bridge that are blocked off by these now red armored clad enforcers. But you do notice. Actually, make a perception check for me as you approach.
15 for Arch.
Okay. Reginald?
23?
Io.
22.
And Niche.
24.
Still got 10 summoner spells there, Reggie. You want to use any of them?
On a 23?
Huh? Do you think that's high enough? It's up to you, but...
How
Sounds
dare
like a
you? How dare you? How dare you?
This is extortion?
Yeah, right?
Feels like a trap.
I'm just
It
throwing
does.
it out there. I'm not...
I am not falling into your trap.
Okay, yeah, it looks pretty normal. It appears to be red-clad enforcers and groups on either side of the bridge, and you can see a large type stage platform almost in the center of the bridge has been done up with a large galley with 4 ropes that appear to be hanging from it. And as you're, as you're approaching, you see 4 individuals standing underneath those ropes, and 3 individuals seem to be at this, like, kind of center stage where they can kind of rotate around and see both sides of the bridge. As you approach, I'll get everybody to make stealth checks for me as well. As you stick low and then kind of go up beside the bridge to the underneath near the center, you can hear the magnified voice of this individual. There has been a lot of problems here in Zon and Piltover, but know that Noxus plans to right all of these wrongs, unifying these 2 sister cities. But before that can happen, those with power that he did not deserve, those treacherous, those that would kill both sides of you and incite war and greed, must first be dispatched. Arch stealth check.
23.
Reggie?
I'm using 4 summoner spells to make it a 15.
Okay. You have 10.
I know.
Io
That is a 18.
and Niche.
6.
Oh,
Teen?
Last last chance if you want to give any.
Hmm.
I'm gonna start doing my rolls.
It's a 6.
how dare you? I don't know how I can help Niche, but like, if I can give them 4 to bring it up to a 10.
Okay.
Psst, you're
If
being
you-
loud.
As you guys are going, Reginald, you're kind of in tandem with Niche, and you see her kind of looking in the direction, and she can clearly see Singed, and you can see like the red in her eyes, and she starts to accelerate, and you're able at the last second just to kind of catch up and slow her down and get her back in line with the rest of you.
In that case, if it's okay, as Reggie pulls Niche to the side, I'll then use my second level ability Empower to add another 4 to that, making it a 14. And what Niche will do is she almost like reaches out, like her eyes are just absolutely fixed on Singe. That is the only thing she sees. And she'll actually put a hand on the side of Reggie and will begin to actually follow his path on the board, not trusting themselves anymore.
So as you guys kind of approach, you hear the continued voice. We will not be unburdened by the mistakes that the council has made. We will not forget the citizens that work so hard in the Undercity, and we will not disallow the comforts of the folks that live in Piltover. If you follow this new brand, this new flag, we will ensure that both cities are prosperous for time to come. Now, as appointed by the last remaining council member, Princess Madara, as I hold sway over here, I hereby sentence the following. This child of the Undercity, Echo, the unbelievably treacherous and treasonous Caitlyn and Vi, and the destructive and deadly Jinx, to hang by their necks until dead and usher in a new era of the Twin Cities. And you hear like a mixture, a cacophony of sound coming from the far end of either side of the bridge. Some cheers, some boos. You see Royal start to begin to happen as Casker kind of starts walking over and placing the noose around each of their necks, their heads kind of bagged already, not being given a chance to say anything. I think now's as good a time as any. I don't know what should we do?
Niche will reach next and place a hand on Arch. If it is all right, this will help make sure no one's making any hard decisions today.
All right.
And Niche will spend a moment seeming to collect energy. It seems to sleep down from the bridge to where the group is poised. And Niche will cast a spell on Arch, kind of hardening his skin. You gain resistance to all physical damage for the next 5 minutes.
All right, then.
All right.
I feel tougher already. Oh, by the way, just in case anyone asks, and I pull out the gauntlets, I decided to name them. This is Hurricane, and this is Typhoon. And together, they're a coastal storm. Just in case, someone might ask that later.
Even more theatrical flair. I love it.
So shall I rush in? Let's get this shit on the road, huh?
You hear, now, Let us carry out your sentence. And Callisto's eyes widen, and she goes, all right, I guess now's the time. And she kind of flies out away from the bridge and up, and you hear, hey, dickbags! And then a shot. And I will get, is there anything anybody's doing right away?
So that you can catch up with her. And when Niche is finished imbuing Arch's skin with this fortification, she'll then jam him in the back, essentially casting haste on him for this first round.
Okay. So do all of you kind of maneuver and go up to the bridge? So as you all kind of fly around and hoverboard up to the bridge, kind of jumping off your boards to land on this bridge, you see that the shot that Callisto took kind of shot the rope, hitting all 4 ropes at the same time, and you see the bodies of Echo, Caitlin, Vi, and Jinx kind of collapse as if they're unconscious on this stage, and you see this now getting a better look at him, all of you, for the first time, this silver long hair backed by this giant black mantled coat that he doesn't put his arms through the sleeve, but kind of has one arm exposed of human, and you can see a faint red glow coming from behind where it's kind of covered at the start. The strong jawline and the tan skin, wearing all black pretty much from head to toe. And it's at this point where Niche and Io, you would both notice that, as well as seeing people on either end and these enforcers scrambling, kind of trying to figure out what to do, dotted along the support cables of this bridge and on top of the big pillars of the bridge and even on the arm rails and stuff are several black ravens, dozens of them, birds all over the place. And you see Singed and Casker and this individual kind of turn to face all of you after looking at Callisto, who kind of soars in and jumps off to stand not right with you, but behind you a little bit, as that's kind of her thing. And Swain kind of chuckles. What do you know? More treason. More people acting in defiance of progress and growth. Now calm yourselves. We don't want any of our fine citizens being injured. You can let myself and your new politicians take care of this. And you kind of see one of the other arm come out from underneath Swain's coat to reveal this all red glowing arm up to where the shirt kind of cuts off.
So real quick, when Arch jumps off and lands, I'd like to preemptively do a bonus action to cast my karate skill. So as he lands, you see this visage of Sosin shoot out of him and does all these cool moves as he walks around Arch and then zooms back into him. And I have karate up, which lasts 5 minutes.
Okay. And it is at that point that I will get everybody to roll initiative. Archibald.
11.
Okay. Reginald.
8.
Still have 2 summoner spells.
Not a chance.
Okay. Io.
That is a 7.
Niche.
20.
And if that's all right, I'd like to yell out something after he just said that.
Okay.
So as Tosin comes right back into Arch, he kind of looks back and his eyes still blue, and he says, "No, you had this wrong. We have become legends, And he looks around and yells to the crowd, and the rest of you can rise and become legends with us.
Again, you hear kind of like a clamored, like, you're not sure if it's more agreeance or disapproval or what's happening, but the crowd seem to be trying to push in as these red armored enforcers kind of push back and try and hold the lines. Niche, really quick, what's your dex score?
0.
Okay, so
I wonder who I'm going after.
So
it could be my intelligence.
you see Singed kind of throw this hooded cape that he was kind of wearing, concealing the large tank on his back, as he throws it off. And, "Oh, Reginald, we're here again, aren't we?" And pulls this vial from his belt and chucks it at the amassed group of you. As Singed also rolled a 20, but has a higher dex than you, Niche. So I will need to have everybody make a... I know what I'm doing with my life. I will have everybody make a... Oh, never mind. So this vial kind of lands at your feet and cracks open, exploding, in this like mucusy green liquid kind of spreads out in a radius around all of you. And Singed starts running forward towards all of you. So that was that. Then, sorry, who had the 11? It was Io, I believe. No.
Mine was 7.
Oh, right, 7. Oh, it must have been Arch then. Sorry.
Yeah, for initiative.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was 11.
Okay, so Niche, that'll bring us to your turn as you have Singed the person you want the vengeance against rushing towards you right now.
Niche can move 70 feet on the hoverboard, and it very quickly pops up from under the bridge and moves within 50 feet of where Singed is. "You will pay for all of the atrocities that you have committed." And she just reaches forward, hand is just absolutely straining, and she's going to, it's a 27
Okay.
to hit.
Yeah, that'll hit.
And that will do 11 points of damage as she just kind of makes a fist and then tries to just once again yank some energy. And we see this kind of like black inky substance sort of draw out of him.
Okay. Are you doing anything else on your turn?
And that will be it.
That will bring us to Casker. Arch, what's your dex score? Really quick, what's your dex modifier?
4.
4? Okay. So you will go just before Callisto. Casker, you see, kind of like adjust his long jacket and... "Oh, I was really hoping that maybe you would have just rotted in that prison like you was supposed to, but never mind, this will be fine." And kind of reaches both hands into his coat and pulls out these dual pistols and starts backing up and is going to take one shot at Arch and one shot at Reggie as he's backing up. With a natural 20 on the first attack against Arch.
Alright.
And I don't think a 17 hits Reggie, does it?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So, with the critical, Arch, you're going to take 12 points of piercing damage.
Okay.
And
remember that
Reggie-
you have resistance to all physical damage.
Yeah, so
you
reduced
reduce it all by
to...
half.
Yeah, so down to 4. And Reggie, you will take 6 points of piercing damage. And sorry, how much damage was done to Swain or to Singed?
11.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Moving us to Arch. You go right before Callisto. So to give you some context, this bridge is about 50 feet wide and about 500 feet long. You were all in the middle of it, probably about 40 feet away from the stage where you would have came up to interpose against these individuals.
So all three of them are more than like the closest would be about 40, you said?
No, Singed has started running towards your group. That reminds me, starting your turn, Arch, I need you to make a dexterity saving throw at the start of your turn.
That is going to be 22.
Okay, perfect. So this goop, you kind of like are getting ready to move, and you move your feet, and it's very sticky and weird. But you suffer none of the ill effects and are able to move. So Singed had started running towards you, so is probably, I think, about 15 feet away from you now. Casker backed up, so is more like 60 feet away, and Swain is still in the middle, probably at that 40 feet.
Okay. I am going to run past, like, I want to make a beeline to Casker. So if he's about 60, I will use one of my actions to do extra movement to double it so I can get up to his space. And because Niche has essentially hasted me, that will leave me with an additional action.
Sure.
And as I run towards him, I'm gonna try something new. With my karate skill activated, I'm going to make a kick attack, and let's see, and that will be, where's my 4? Yes, that's going to be a 26 to hit. Sorry.
That does not. No, it hits. Yeah.
I was like, whoa, this was a mistake. All right, so where's my D10? So with the kick, he takes a D10, and I get bonuses for additional attacks later. So that is 7 plus. That's going to be 15 points of damage on that drop kick as I come in there and kick him in the gut, and I'm just like, I've been waiting a long time for this.
He's kind of backing up and just kind of gives you a grin, keeping both the barrels of the guns pointed towards you as he kind of absorbs this kick and gets pushed back a little bit.
And since I made a successful hit, let's see. What did I say I did on damage? That was 15. So I'm gonna use my. Oh, let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and on a first successful hit, I'm going to use Finish Them, my 3rd level ability. That's gonna bump me up to the tier combo 3, which says I can use Ranbu, which doubles your last hit's regular damage dice. And I get to make additional melee attacks. So that last hit dice, I had rolled 7, so add another 7 on top of that 15. And now with Ranbu, I get to make additional melee attacks until I miss twice.
Okay. Reggie, you're on deck, and then Io after that. Just
and
up so you can
I forgot
plan.
this on my first attack, but because I just activated karate, I get to use attacks at advantage.
Okay.
All right. So first one, that was a total 20, but let me see if I get crit. And it's actually higher now. So 24 to hit.
Okay, that'll hit.
And just so you know, Elle, my max of hits is 4. I can only hit a max of 4.
Let's go.
Next one, natural 20.
Nice.
Yes. That one's gonna hit. Next one. Ooh, that one may not. That's a 14 to hit for the
That'll
first.
miss.
So that's 1 miss. This one is 21.
That'll miss.
Okay, so I missed twice. All right, so I got 2 misses and 2 hits, one of which. Okay, so a tear 3 bumps me up to a D10. Sweet. All right, so first one takes 9 plus 8. So that is 17. Let me get my D4 for the electric gauntlets because this time I'm punching. So an additional 3.
So 20 damage total?
Yep.
Nice.
And then the last one, which is a crit, I rolled an 8, so double that. 16 plus 8 takes me to 24 plus my electric, which is another 3. So 27 total on that natural 20.
Right.
And I just, I kick in there and I'm like, I've waited a long time for this. And it's just crack, crack. Couple misses in there, but like he's just wailing on him like wildly uncontrolled. You just see the fist flying. There's no technique here. It's all just anger and hatred.
Just for all of you keeping track at home, that's 69 points of damage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice. So you come up with this, you run past the other 2 foes and come up with this flurry of blows against Casker, and you're connecting and hitting, but there's something misleading about the clothes. Like, it looks like he's just wearing this nice suit and this long coat, nice hat and everything like that. But as you're impacting, you feel like a heavy resistance, and you can't tell if it's like armor donned underneath the clothes or if maybe Casker's like really ripped somehow underneath. But he does like kind of reel back after this massive amount of attacks, and oh boy, I guess we're gonna have to try something different, aren't we? Bringing us to Reginald.
Ooh. So Reggie is kind of trying to take things in, take stock of where everybody is. Trying to stay kind of close to Io, but like head towards Niche. And as I guess we've landed for the most part, right? Like,
I believe so, yeah. Like, you
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
all
So-
flew around the bridge and...
Okay. So as Reggie's trying to run forward, like towards where Niche is, Reggie will throw up the back of their hand, and you'll see the Roman numeral 1s appear on his fingers, and in a straight line forward in like 10-foot increments, you'll see pillars of fire just erupt from the bridge, hopefully in a way that only hits bad guys.
How far apart can they be?
10 feet.
So Singed is about 20 feet away from Swain, who's about 15 feet away from Casker, the way that they backed up.
Okay, and
So-
I can do up to 5 pillars.
Okay. But they can only be 10 feet apart? So you could get, at the very least, Singed and Swain. If you're going to extend to get Casker, you're also going to hit Arch. Based off of the proximity, because they're standing right together.
I'm just gonna hit the 2.
Okay. Sure. Is it a save or is it?
What's that?
Do they make a save or what is the?
Dex save 16.
Okay, so Singed rolls a natural 1. And Swain rolls a natural 20 for a 28. So 1 fail, 1 save.
Okay. It's 16 points of fire damage.
Okay, so
and that didn't look like it hurt nearly enough. And Reggie's gonna just like yank their sleeve up and show the rune of like a fire, like a flame on their forearm, and the flame's gonna come out of it and slither up into the palm of Reggie's hand and thrust it forward. And as a bonus action, I'm gonna do a firebolt at Singed.
Okay, go for it.
And it is a 15.
That will not hit, unfortunately. The kind of like fire going off and you kind of taking stock and adjusting, you go to fling the firebolt, but notice it's probably just a little bit wide. You also noticed, though Singe seems to reel a bit from the pillar of fire, Swain kind of like gets a sour look on his face, but doesn't seem nearly as bothered by it as some of the other people you have afflicted with this. And in fact, are you moving or anything on your turn?
Yeah, I wanted to move just towards Niche.
Okay. So at the end of your turn, Swain is going to use one of his legendary abilities and kind of still standing in this fire. My magic is a little bit darker than your brightness, and extends, you see now, thrusting out this fully red hand, these 2 dark black bolts of energy go flying at you, Reggie, as he's using his basic attack, which is essentially an Eldritch Blast. Natural 20 on the first one. And a dirty 20 on the second.
Okay.
So those both hit. So the
That's what you
natural
sound like.
the natural 20 is going to be 10 points of necrotic damage.
Okay.
And the second attack is going to only be 5 points of necrotic damage as these 2 bolts blast into you as you run forward. You would also actually, Io and Niche, you would be the only 2 that would notice with your passive perceptions. As these 2 attacks slam into Reginald, you see 2 of these ravens swoop down and slam into Singed, or into Swain. Kind of poofing in little tufts of cloud or feathers, and he appears to stand up a little straighter as he deals 12 points of damage, bringing him back to 0. That brings us to Io.
Io is going to pull an oracle card.
Okay, roll your percentile.
And let's see here. Once my thing listens to me. That is an 82. So that would be the Fallen Star. And Io will immediately cast the Starburst spell at Swain.
Sure. I have my book somewhere. Sorry, 1 second. Do you have it up by chance?
You cause a mote of starlight to appear and explode in a 5-foot cube you can see within range.
Okay.
The creatures within range, they must succeed a DC 16 charisma saving throw or take 2d8 radiant damage.
I rolled another natural 20.
Oh my
Heck
goodness.
you!
That's
Dang.
that's a 26.
No 20s in the chat. No 20s in the
No
chat.
20s.
All the 20s in the chat.
Unless you're James, probably.
Yeah,
that's true.
there you go. Okay, but I think still half damage, right?
Yes? Let me see here.
Go for it.
Yes.
Okay.
The- Is it 8?
And just as a point of reference, all of you kind of like keeping an eye on the battlefield as you go. Callisto seems to have disappeared. Just for reference, I forgot to say when she took her turn. But
So, let's see here. Io looks over to the area and plants a soft kiss on the card, and she blows that kiss towards the area, and the sky begins to rain a glittering ultraviolet starlight, like waterfalls onto the area. And anyone within 5 feet, takes 14 points of damage.
what kind of damage is it?
It is radiant.
Radiant?
Oh, sorry, halved.
Oh, right. Yeah. So you see, like, as this explosion kind of happens, Swain, using his human arm, kind of whips his large cloak around to shield his face a little bit. And are you moving or anything at the end of your turn?
Io will be moving towards Niche and Reggie,
Okay.
as well as one more thing, using their bonus action. I want to do my my double my efforts, which
Okay.
means I can make a perception check and get a free action that isn't an attack.
Okay.
And so that is a 17. So the DC is 15. And so Io wants to use cognitive empathy
Okay.
and read the mind of Swain.
Sure. What's the DC on that? 'Cause I
That
think-
is, now that I've leveled up, it is 17.
What kind of save is it? What kind of save is it?
It is a charisma.
Charisma? 18, unfortunately. So as you
Heck you once
as,
more.
as you try to probe, as you're moving forward gracefully and try and probe the mind of Swain, all you hear is, "Those tricks don't work on me." And you are kind of forced out, bringing us to Swain. And as the three of you are kind of moving towards each other, Arch running past, Callisto kind of not in sight, Swain kind of reaches his hand out and, "Now I will show you what true power is," and kind of sweeps his hand in kind of a circular motion and then pushes the red hand through it. And as you are all kind of moving, you see below you the ground start to turn red and black as this demonic looking eye opens up underneath all three of you. I need each one of you to make a what is it? Dexterity saving throw for me as Swain uses his Vision of Empire ability.
Which three?
It's Reggie, Io, and Niche. Reggie?
I've got 2 summoner spells left.
2 summoner spells left.
Gonna use them.
Okay.
Make it a 21.
Which will succeed. Io?
That's a natural 1.
Ugh, that's probably going to fail. And Niche?
Niche rolls a 10, but will instead grit their teeth and draw what they can from the dead and dying on this bridge, and will instead get a 20.
Okay. Is that one of your abilities?
This
Nope.
is a level 11 anti-hero thing.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
yes.
So you will make the save. Visions of Empire. Okay, so... that will be 9 points of necrotic damage to Io, half to 5 for Reggie and Niche. Io, so as this large eye kind of opens up underneath you and explodes with this force coming up, you feel some of your life force drain away from you. That's going to be necrotic damage. And Io, your movement speed is halved on your next turn, and you may only take an action or a bonus action, not both, on your next turn. And with that, Swain kind of steps forward. You probably should have brought more. And that is where we're going to end our match tonight.
Oh,
Oh boy.
did that to us, Al.
So much
It's gonna be
going
rough.
on.
Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in to tonight's episode on the YouTubes. Make sure you're checking out some of the other awesome content that the Frege Forge is doing, the Deej solo streams. I believe Honor Roll is wrapping up soon. Still coming out on YouTube on Friday nights. Give it up for my amazing, wonderful cast of the wonderful Archibald being played by Friggins. The old Reginald being played by the old Cajere. The always fantastic Io being played by Akim Grimm. And the very productive Niche being played by Sarah L. Kinney. Make sure you jump in next week to catch the season and series finale of Become Legend. That's right, folks. We only have one left. And until then, join the rest of the champions as we try and rise and become legend. Have a good night. And